So we're back with another Heartstopper video. Are you surprised? I'm not. Of course I'm not. I wrote it. Today I'm going over underrated Heartstopper moments. So now that the series is over, there's a lot of moments that I feel like were underrated. I asked for people on Reddit to give me suggestions almost a year ago, actually. So this video's been backlog for quite a while. But yeah. Let's just get right into it. Okay, the first one I should talk about is all of Nick and Charlie's awkward moments. You know, they have a lot of awkward moments, and not a lot of people really talk about them, in my opinion. Like, when in season two, when like Charlie's about to give Nick a love bite, and Nick says that he's not going to do any more than kissing, and then they have like this awkward moment because Nick thought that Charlie was wanting to have sex with him, but he's not ready for that. That didn't age well. Another one is Darcy coming out to their grin. Like, they weren't comfortable enough to come out to their parents, but they immediately came out to their gran, like that, like, in 2 seconds. Like, they hadn't even properly moved in yet, and they had already come out to their gran immediately. Like, that right there just shows how much they trust her, so I love that so much. And not a lot of people talk about that. I think that's a really sweet moment, that they felt so comfortable to just tell their gran that they're a lesbian immediately. Like, that was beautiful. Also, I feel like Tao and Elle's argument gets overshadowed by Nick and Charlie as well. I mean, everyone gets overshadowed by Nick and Charlie a little bit. But yeah, the argument they had, and then they don't when they're at the bonfire because Tao was trying too hard on their date, and then they don't make up until the Paris trip. Yeah, I think that's really nicely done as well, and it shows that I mean, they're not perfect, Nick and Charlie, but I like it. Okay, this one is one of the ones I thought of, but Tara's panic attack. Hardly anyone talks about it, but why? It's so realistic, it's so good, and the fact that Charlie helps her because he knows exactly what it's like, and he's like probably the only one that actually gets it. And I love that it's also kind of foreshadowing to the fact that Tara doesn't want to go to college, but so she like ends up traveling with Darcy. I really love that a lot. So yeah, I think her panic attack is very underrated. Also, Tao's mom being nice to Elle is very underrated because a lot of older characters probably do still misgender Elle or accidentally dead name Elle by accident. Some of them definitely don't do it on accident, but yeah. But not Elle's mom, Tao's mom is just like immediately accepting of her. And the thing is, she's probably always known Elle since before she was transitioned. So she knew her as, well, Tao, one of Tao's friends, and then now that she's transitioned, she still accepts her, and it's so sweet. She doesn't dead name her, she uses the right pronoun. She really is happy when Tao starts dating her. Like, that's so beautiful to me, and no one ever talks about that as well. I understand Nick's mom's the best mom in the series, but I think we need to give credit to Tao's mom as well. Another anxiety attack. This time it's Nick's anxiety attack over his exams. I feel like this one's kind of like, it's not, I wouldn't quite say it's an underrated like thing because like it's been in a lot of different like shows and movies, having an anxiety attack over an exam, but not a lot of people talk about Nick's anxiety attack. I am going to get into more of Nick's mental health at the end of the video though. Also, Nick's relationship with his dad is kind of underrated. I mean, I kind of wrote this before Volume 6 was finished, so it's not as underrated now, but at the time it kind of was. Hardly anyone spoke about it or how, like, his dad's a deadbeat, but I think it needs to be talked about a little bit more. Obviously, in Volume 6, it's talked about a lot more, which I'm kind of glad about. But yeah, I think it's a very underrated, like, thing in the show. Also, Imogen's whole arc of realizing she's a lesbian is really underrated, in my opinion. I understand why, to be fair, though, because Imogen, like, was only written specifically for the show, and, her arc, you can tell they kind of just made up as they went along. So I understand why no one really talks about it that much, but I think it's still a sweet arc. I like how it's kind of left open if her and Sahara ended up together at the end, though. Also, Tara feeling insecure of calling herself a lesbian is very underrated because a lot of people don't want to admit what they are when they realize that they're queer, and it's hard for them to call themselves queer, so that was definitely really well done. It was hard for me when I first realized, so I definitely related to that a lot. Also, this is more about, so Charlie's eating disorder is not underrated, of course, but there was one moment that some people thought was underrated, and it's the moment when he first comes to terms with it, and he's on the phone with Nick, and he's trying to hold back tears, and you just, like, he can barely speak or answer because of the tears that he's holding back while he's on the phone. So a lot of people thought that was underrated, and I agree, because I've done that as well while I'm holding back emotions and I can barely answer, and I just have to, like, say, because I can't talk. So yeah, that was a very beautiful, underrated moment too. Okay, this one, oh, I don't even know if I want to say it. Charlie thinking that he doesn't want to get better. So we've all been there, haven't we? I don't really, I'm not going to get into it that much, but this moment hit me very hard. So that's all I'm going to say about that for now. But yeah, that was a very powerful moment that I wish a lot more people appreciated because I think we've all done that where we don't want to get better when our mental health is very bad. Like you can say you haven't, but you know you have. Also, Isaac's entire arc as well. Isaac's kind of like Imogen, where he was written for the show, but he at least has a book counterpart, so I'm fine with it. But his arc of realizing he's Aero Ace is very underrated, in my opinion. And the fact that the leaves fall for him instead of like swooping around him like it does for everyone else because he doesn't know who he is, that's really beautiful as well. I love that. So I think that's a really beautiful moment, and I wish more people talked about Isaac. He's really great. Also, the group picnic is underrated because to everyone else it's just a normal, fun group picnic, but to Charlie it's literally hell because he's around all that food and he just can't bring himself to eat it. Like, I think that's very underrated, and it does a really good job of showing the struggles that he goes through eating. So I really really love that. Also, this is like a really underrated detail, but the fact that Nellie growls at David the moment he walks into Nick's room, that is really amazing. It shows that she doesn't like him, but even though she loves Nick, that is brilliant. Like, more people need to appreciate Nellie as well, in my opinion. Also, Nick getting a panic attack at the bonfire is very underrated as well, because like we've all been there where we're like trying to come out, but we just can't do it, and not a lot of people talk about that either. I've seen people say that Charlie gaslit Nick into coming out, and it's like, did we watch the same show? Because no, he didn't. That definitely didn't happen. Also, this one I'm gonna have to read on my phone so I can get it right. I'm sorry, but when Nick and Elle are at the Louvre, Nick says to Elle, "Hang on." Nick says to Elle, "You don't have to understand your feelings completely to know that you like someone. You don't have to have always figured everything out. You can just feel." A lot of people think that's underrated because, Nick literally, it shows Nick's, emotional maturity. Whereas everyone praises Charlie's emotional maturity, but hardly anyone appreciates Nick's. So yeah, that's definitely underrated too. I think Nick's very emotionally mature for his age. I had to check what I meant by this one because I wrote it in the most vague way possible, and I had to go check what that was about. So I wrote Charlie giggling in episode 1. And I was like, what? And then I checked my original Reddit post, and I remember the bit now. So it's when it's during the rugby montage in episode 1 when Nick and Charlie are practicing tackling, and Nick says well done, and then Charlie just like has a little giggle because he's like flustered and has a crush on Nick. So yeah, that we got there. Yeah, I think that's underrated as well. Yeah, that's a really nice moment too. I don't actually remember what bit this is. The leaf landing next to Charlie after his appointment. I'll see if I can get a screenshot for it, obviously, but I don't actually remember this moment. But I obviously wrote it down for a reason. I think it's obviously his appointment, like, either when he first goes to the doctor about his eating disorder or after his first therapy session. I think it's the first one, to be honest. I think I remember now, yeah. There'll be a screenshot, of course, but I think that moment's underrated. Alright, this one I feel like is the most underrated thing, but it's not the last thing I'm going to talk about. But Nick and Tao's relationship throughout the series, like, not enough people appreciate the relationship development between them. They literally went from enemies to best friends, and that is beautiful. Like, sure, Nick and Charlie's relationship's beautiful, Tao and Elle's relationship's beautiful, but like the Heartstopper is also about the like platonic relationships, and this is the best platonic relationship in the whole show. I don't care what anyone says. Like the fact that Tao went from not trusting Nick and thinking Nick was just like the other rugby lad that bullied Charlie, and then when he realizes that they're dating, he like starts to warm up to Nick, and then ends up with him literally comforting Nick because Nick is having a breakdown at the Halloween party because Charlie's literally in a psychiatry ward. So yeah, it was a very beautiful moment. Also, Tara and Darcy's talk at the end of season 2 is also underrated because, it's finally Darcy. They're finally opening up to Tara and saying how they're not out to their parents and how they're not confident like they think they are. They just mask it when out in public because their home life is awful. They have the worst mother in the whole show, definitely. So yeah, I think the fact that Darcy finally opens up to Tara and also leads to Darcy realizing they're non-binary and finally being free from their parents is very underrated. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Also, Imogen just smiling at Nick and Charlie in the finale, like, that moment's beautiful as well, because, like, this is I think this is before they, like, thought of making Imogen a lesbian, because she's just happy for Nick that Nick found his person, and she's happy for Charlie as well. Like, she's happy they found each other, because that's all that's really important, Alright, the last thing I want to talk about is Nick's mental health, just in general. Not a specific moment, just in general, his mental health is very underrated because it doesn't get as focused on as much as Charlie's in the first half of the series, but in the second half, that's when it starts to hit you that Nick's not really mentally stable either. But I understand why Charlie overshadows Nick with his mental health, of course, but not enough people appreciate all the stuff that Nick has to go through. Like, not only is he a 16-year-old having to, like, basically try and save his boyfriend who might die because of what he's going through, but that's all going on his shoulders as a 16-year-old. Like, that's traumatic for him as well. And then having to, like, think of uni choices as well, and, like, thinking how, like, he might be far away from Charlie, and if Charlie's gonna be okay without him, like, and then, like, thinking what he might do with his future, like, it's all so underrated, and no one ever appreciates it. Like, Nick's kind of in a place where he, like, doesn't know what he wants in his life, and you know what? Actually, another example that everyone praises. This is exactly what Peter Parker went through in Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 is always praised as the best live-action Spider-Man movie for that reason. But no one really appreciates it here for some reason, and I don't get it. Like, I think it's really relatable, it's gut-wrenching, and it's beautiful at the same time, you know? So yeah, this is what I think is the most underrated Heartstopper moment, just Nick's mental health in general. Okay, well that was some of the moments in Heartstopper that I think are underrated. Let me know what you think is underrated in the comments down below. This is a different kind of video, I liked it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time, bye!